I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're here to talk about our favorite boom plays of the week for week 10 of the fantasy football season. Let's start things off, Chris. Who's your first boom?
I know it's hard to trust anybody in this Falcons offense outside of Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson, but I'm going to say Russell Gage will boom. Last week, had 6 catches for 67 yards. 3 weeks ago, 4 catches, a touchdown. In between those 2 games, he did have 0 points, no targets. But that's what makes him a boom play, right? These aren't guys that are guaranteed to get you points. These are guys who could go off. So I think Russell Gage this week is one of those guys. He fits that mold. And they're going up against Dallas. Even Trayvon Diggs, who we raved about early in the year, has struggled recently. And this secondary as a whole has struggled the whole season, really. So this is a great spot for the entire Falcons passing offense. It seems like Russell Gage is the guy there outside of Pitts and Cordero Patterson again, but you never know. That's why he's a boom. So if you're looking for that boom, he's in a great spot, in a great matchup, and he can do it.
I get it. There's a lot of upside with him, but yeah, there is that risk too. Guy that should be back in action is Dawson Knox, and I know tight ends, they're tight ends, is you have to play when it's like a necessary evil. Well, at this point, you could be getting a top 5 tight end back. He is not only going to be one of the focal points of this passing game, but he's going against the Jets, which are one of the worst defenses against the tight end. Okay, he had 5 touchdowns and he was averaging 48 yards per game in the 6 games before he was injured. Try to get Knox, maybe try to buy low if possible, because this is a guy on a potent offense that could help you down the stretch. But at least as far as week 10 goes, I'm feeling that this is a great chance for him to get back on the scene in a hurry. All right, let's keep it going, Chris. Give me another boom pick for week 10.
Remember early in the season when Mike Williams was a league-winning wide receiver? Well, Mike Williams is back to being a boom-bust wide receiver. I mean, since week 3, he's really only had 1 or 2 boom games and a lot of bust games, right? But I think this is going to be a boom game going against Minnesota, who is susceptible to giving up big plays in the passing game. And we saw even in week 9, he did have that deep connection with Justin Herbert, that 49-yard reception. So that connection is still there. Unfortunately, Mike Williams is back to just running primarily vertical routes, which is very bad for him week to week, but it does give him that boom potential. So once again, he's back to being a boom-bust guy, but this is a week and a matchup where he should boom.
Yeah, Williams is becoming quickly one of the most polarizing players in fantasy. Some people are saying buy low after a couple down games. Some people are saying to sell him. Who knows? I think he's just going to be exactly what you said. Boom some week, bust some week, so you're going to have to live with that. Eno Benjamin, is now going to take over the role that Chase Edmonds had in Arizona's offense, because Edmonds does have a high ankle sprain, going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Based on what we saw of Benjamin in his brief time this past week, he's ready. This is a guy who, as a rookie, didn't even get on the field. And when he did get his chance, he was effective. You've probably seen that highlight reel play of him absolutely trucking Dre Kirkpatrick, knocking him to the ground to score a touchdown. This is not a big back at 5'9", but he's physical enough. He's going to catch some passes. He's going to get some red zone opportunities. Connor cannot do it all by himself. I think you have to, number 1, try to pick him up wherever you can. And then number 2, you got to like him in week 10 going against Carolina. You pick up Benjamin, I think you can roll him out there as a flex play. All right, Chris, give me another boom play for week 10.
I'm going to say you got to start J.D. McKissic if you need a boom, because this matchup screams J.D. McKissic game going against Tampa Bay. But this is a game that projects to be one of those games where the football team is playing from behind, a lot of 2-minute drill, a lot of fourth quarter garbage time. And that's where J.D. McKissic shines in fantasy, right? Because he's the pass catching back. 8 receptions before the bye. I think it's going to be another game where he racks up tons of receptions, either in the 2-minute drill or in garbage time. But for fantasy, that doesn't matter because it counts just like any other fantasy points. So if you need a boom in your RB2 slot, which a lot of us really do, I think J.D. McKissic gives you that boom in week 10.
There you go. Can never have too many running back choices. I'm going to be honest here. My next choice, I had to pivot last second. So if you look at the New Orleans passing game, Deontay Harris has led the team in targets the last 2 weeks, but we're now hearing that Harris might face suspension from the league, possible DUI charges, something related. So I'm going to move away from him, go to Marquez Callaway, because if Harris is out, that means more targets for the other receivers, and the other receivers really are not very many to talk about. I did like Callaway in the preseason. had to back off him when he really didn't do much. But we did see a little bit of life, even with Trevor Siemian. Tennessee, they still are the second worst defense in terms of giving up points to wide receivers. So there's still a chance for somebody like Callaway to have a big game. There's risk, obviously, but this is somebody who should see his target share increase. He does also have that deep threat ability, so I'm going to plug in Callaway as a flex option if possible. All right, got another pair of boom picks for you. First, let me remind you that you can become a patron. Just check out the information down below in the description. Click that link and you'll see what that's all about. All right, Chris, your last boom pick for week 10.
Well, I'm going to give you another running back, and it's Brandon Bolden. Right now, both Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are in the concussion protocol now. One or both of them could clear, but more than likely, at least one of them will be out. And if one or both of them are out, it's going to be a whole lot of Brandon Bolden. And no, this isn't the greatest matchup going against Cleveland, but the thing you got to like about Brandon Bolden is he's the pass catching back. So even if one or both do play, he still has the role as the pass catching back. And that's how he could boom in PPR leagues, by catching some passes and scoring a touchdown. So definitely if Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson sit, he has incredible boom potential. But as long as one of them are out, especially if it's Damian Harris, then his boom potential goes way up. So keep an eye on that as the week goes on. Maybe stash him on your bench. And if it turns out that Damian Harris and Stevenson, or at least Damian Harris, are out, put him in your lineup as a possible boom in week 10.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he gets usage in the passing game, like you said. That's what you like to see, but you always have to monitor those practice reports throughout the week. And that leads me to my last pick, and that's T.Y. Hilton. Kind of a forgotten man because he's barely played this year. He's also in the concussion protocol since last week, didn't play. He should be cleared in time for this coming week. He's definitely a boom pick because, well, he's playing Jacksonville. And despite the fact that Jacksonville somehow beat Buffalo and limited them to, was it 9 points? No, 6 points. They still did give up quite a bit of yardage to wide receivers, almost 200 yards just to Buffalo's receivers. This isn't all of a sudden an amazing defense, all right? Let's not get that twisted. So I think there's a good chance that Hilton hits on a big play. That's what he does. That's what makes him a boom pick. We saw that he did have a nice game with 85 yards before he got hurt again. Yeah, there's always risk with him injury-wise because that's just how he's lived this last couple of years, barely staying on the field. But again, if he's clear in time and he plays, there's upside here, unlike many other receivers of his ilk. All right, so there you have it. Our boom picks for week 10. Hope you enjoyed that. Good luck in week 10.